Hey Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly forecast for July 8th through the 14th. I drew a bit of a blank for a moment there. We're going to connect and see what's coming up for our Sagittarius friends, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We are going to check it out and see what's happening in the week ahead. We are continuing with our mermaid theme here, with our decor and our mermaid cards. And after we see what your weekly message is, we're going to check out a healing message for you. I'm going to pull a message for healing from a healing oracle deck. And as always, those of you who are curious about what cards I'm using, I have that info in the description. As always, Monday, Tuesday, Sagittarius, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Let's do it. Let's see what's coming up. Ooh, guys, big energy in the beginning of the week. Big energy. The majority of the signs that I've read for so far have all kicked off the week with a major arcana. Major arcana cards come up when we're at a really significant crossroads, a really significant life purpose, life path kind of moment. Now, people freak out when they see the death card. People don't like seeing it. But I can tell you from my personal experience, anytime I've pulled cards for myself, when I've read for myself, and any time that I have read for a client, this card, this death card, has always come up right before something really good happened. Okay, really good. The only thing about it is it comes in kind of bittersweet because you're being released from an old energy or an old experience, right? And even if you know it's time for it to go, there might be a little bit, like I said, a bittersweet kind of moment. But it's happening because you're evolving, you're growing into something bigger, something better. You know, it's very much this energy of out with the old, in with the new. Okay, and it's ascension. It's coming sometimes out of blocks or old ways of thinking or limited ways of thinking. This card also comes up a lot when people are going through a very big significant spiritual awakening, where all of a sudden they start to hear things and see things about the people in their life that kind of freak them out a little bit. You're like, whoa, where is this coming from? You start to hear toxicity, or you start to see behaviors that you're like, whoa, this is not okay. And you're like, where did this come from all of a sudden? It's not that it came all of a sudden, my dear. It's that you're just finally seeing it. It's that your eyes are finally opening. And so you might be hyper alert to certain phrases, certain sentences you're catching and passing, behaviors that you're seeing, ways that situations are making you feel. You might be in a work situation. You're like, wow, this job is causing me to do things that really go against my morals or my ethics, or and you didn't realize it before, but all of a sudden your eyes are open. So this card sometimes comes during a time of awakening as well. And some of you in the beginning week, Sagittarius, that's what you're going to be feeling. You're all of a sudden noticing things where you're like, okay, all right, well, this needs to change and that needs to change, and time for some new friends or time for a new job or whatever it might be. You're having this awakening where you're seeing things where before you didn't see it. For other ones of you, you're just completely and totally going through this transformation where you're really getting ready to give your life a massive makeover for the better, and you're ready to do it. You feel like you've woken up, you've come out of the box, and there's no way of going back in. You're out, and it's just about moving up and moving on from here. Okay, I don't get too tied into the astrological associations with the cards when they come up, because they don't always necessarily mean that it's a person who's coming in, but for whatever reason I'm feeling, Sagittarius, that I need to point out to you, the death card is associated with the astrological or zodiac sign of Scorpio. Okay, so some of you may be dealing with a Scorpio. That's going to be very pivotal for you in this next phase or transition that you're going through. Some of you may have Scorpio somewhere in your chart, in your moon or in your rising or in your Venus or whatever it may be. You may have Scorpio somewhere, and you might be pulling on that energy in the beginning of the week. To kind of get you geared up and ready for the next kind of couple of months of your life. The reason why this card is associated with Scorpio is because it's an energy that has to do with reinventing oneself. It's the phoenix bird, right? You can't keep a Scorpio down, okay? They can crash and burn and rise again, right? And you are coming into this energy. So if you already naturally have it in your chart, you may be pulling on those aspects of your energy or in your personality. But even if you don't, something about this energy, you're coming into it where you are transforming and you're reinventing yourself. Okay, I think a lot of you, Sagittarius, have been very unhappy for a long time because you've been living your life the way it's been dictated to you in terms of what you've been told, right? And I kind of always give this example. One day I decided I was going to take a stand-up comedy class because it terrified me, and I was like, okay, it scares me, so I have to do it. I've got to try to do it. And everybody was like, and at the time, you know, I worked in an office and I was really stuffy and I was cranky all the time. I wasn't the nicest person before my awakening. And everybody was like, you have no sense of humor. How could you even like be telling jokes, right? But I took the class and I performed and I killed and I did shows for a while, not professionally, but just because it was something fun for me. And you know, people would come up to me and say, hey, you were really funny, you were really great. But everybody told me, oh my God, don't do it. Like, I'm embarrassed for you. I actually had people tell me, like, I'm afraid for you. I'm embarrassed for you. Please don't do it. And it's because they had this perception of me. But somewhere underneath that cranky, crabby person that I was at the time, there was a funny person. And she came out, right? So Sagittarius, there may be a lot of things you haven't been doing because people have told you, oh, that's not you. Or I can't imagine you doing that. Or you wouldn't be any good at that. And so because you were kind of looking for validation or encouragement from other people, or maybe you weren't even asking them, people just jumped in with their 2 cents and discouraged you, there may be a lot of things you've held back from simply because people have told you you wouldn't be any good, or you know, that's not who you are. And so now you're like, you know what, no, I'm gonna do it. I want to do it. I'm gonna do it. You're finding ways to come out of that shell and be your authentic self and kind of shed off the person you've been told to be. You're like, I'm not that person. I'm who I say I am, right? It's very powerful energy. It's very liberating, and I'm excited for you to tap into it and to go with it, Sagittarius. Your Wednesday, Thursday. Ooh, I love her. I love her. Love me, the Queen of Wands. All right, this is you. This is fire energy, baby. This is the Sagittarius energy, Queen of Wands, okay? So, this is, you're coming into this energy, okay? I've told this story previously in other videos, so if you've heard it before, I do apologize, but you need to understand why Queen of Wands is so amazing and why I'm always excited when she comes up, okay? Queen of Wands is funny, independent, successful, sexy, life of the party, holds her head high, you know, she gets her respect, she has her independence, she doesn't have time for pettiness, doesn't have time for gossip, doesn't have time for drama, doesn't have time to throw shade or worry about who's trying to throw shade on her. She holds her head high and she lives a damn good life, okay? But the thing about Queen of Wands is she wasn't always that way. Okay, the king and the queen of wands, they're characters who weren't necessarily born into royalty. What happened is they know what it's like to be a commoner. They know what it's like to live a life where they're working their butt off and they're just barely scraping by. And one day they woke up and they said, this is ridiculous. This is not okay. This is not how it's supposed to be. And they found ways to think outside of the box. Sometimes this can even be entrepreneurship, like starting a business or a side hustle that really takes off or something, or or finding your skill set, your career experience, and finding a way to market into like a really significant happy career change. Just rising up and just like being tired of using her gifts and her abilities to make other people wealthy or to make other people successful, but to finally find ways to use them for herself, right? Queen of Wands is she's been silenced one too many times. She's been backed into the corner one too many times. And one day she's had enough and she's like, I know what I bring to the table. I know how powerful I am. I know how talented I am. I know how smart I am, and I am going to make it work for me. And she just takes off and she reaches a high level of success in a short period of time. That's my Queen of Wands, okay? And that's why I'm always excited when I see her. And I'm excited for the people I read for when she comes up. I'm like, yes, all right, you're going to have this, breakthrough. So you're coming into this energy. And for some of you, it does feel like being fed up, because sometimes that's the catalyst that we need, okay? I do feel that for a lot of you, as you're coming into this energy, there is someone who's making you feel this way, who's like your inspiration or like mentoring you in some way, or there's somebody that you're looking at and you're like, you know what, they did it and I can do it too, right? So some of you are blessed. And for some of you, this could be someone that you're working on one-on-one. Maybe you have a life coach, maybe you have a spiritual mentor, maybe it's a friend or an older coworker, or just somebody in your life that you actually see in person. For other ones of you, it might be role models that you're kind of watching online, or, somebody that you're studying and you know about their life and you're like, wow, like that person's really inspiring me, that they've overcome a lot and I can do it too. But you're just coming into this energy where it's really, really, really powerful, right? There's this strong push in the middle of the week where you have a really good idea of where you want to go and you're ready to go for it. Your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the moon. This is a big week for you, Sagittarius. This is a big week for you. You have another major arcana card here. Major arcana cards come up. You're starting off the week with a major arcana. You're ending the week with a major arcana. Again, these come up when you're at a significant crossroads. So this is basically what's happening, my darlings. These are big energies. So it's very unlikely that they're going to be confined simply to this week of the 8th through the 14th. I feel whatever's happening for you between the 8th and the 14th is setting a theme that's going to continue over the next few weeks, possibly, potentially, for the next few months, maybe in through close to the end of the year for some of you, where there's just like this domino effect of changes that you're going to be going through, one thing after another, right? It's funny because I just saw, when I said domino effect, the reason why I said domino effect is because the vision that Spirit gave me as I was talking. If you guys have ever seen those cool little contraptions online on the internet, or sometimes you see them on social media, where there's like dominoes and they go down and they they'll knock something over and it triggers this little lever and this little ball drops and it goes down a shelf and down another shelf, and then it hits a little button and something lifts up and another ball comes out, and like this whole thing, like a machine is set into order, right? And people have really creative ways where it's like, I saw one, it was for like pouring syrup on waffles, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. It's a very elaborate contraption that makes something cool happen. Or if you've ever seen, If you've ever seen the movie Goonies, any of you who are like close to me in my age, remember Data? He had invented this thing for the gate when people came to the house to open the gate. It was like a balloon popped and a hen laid an egg, and the egg rolled down, and it had this boot kick this thing. Like, that's kind of what I'm seeing. So this week for you, it's setting off that elaborate machine. It's setting off that contraption. There's gonna be movements that are coming in very funny, in entertaining ways. I think a lot of the changes that you're going through, Sagittarius, and this is why I'm excited, I think a lot of you have been going through changes up until now where there's been a lot of pain, or there's been a lot of frustration or anger or resentment. And I just feel something is happening the next few months where you are getting some kind of like sweet, I hate to use the word revenge because it sounds so negative, right? But there might be some redemption. You might be seeing karma served up in a way that is long overdue, or you might be just seeing things happen in a way where you're just kind of laughing and you're just like, oh my goodness, like I could not have planned it any more entertaining, or I cannot have planned it any funnier. Like, I just feel like things are happening in a way where you're having all of these little nods from the universe that are like letting you know, hey, like, you know, universe has your back. You know, just trust the process, trust this journey. So there's like some joy and there's some entertainment that's coming in for you as these changes are happening. The moon card has to do with releasing fear, and it also has to do with connecting with your creativity. And we just kind of touched on creativity when we talked about all these little funny inventions and things like that. So some of you may be inventing things yourselves, or you might be coming up with creative ideas, or really connecting with your artistic gifts or abilities that maybe you didn't even know were there, right? But there's a lot of release and a lot of healing that's coming in. And a lot of you are just finding a lot of creative ways of approaching things or situations. And a lot of you are learning something very, very beneficial from the Scorpio energy. Even though the moon is not a Scorpio card, the moon can sometimes be secretive. The moon can sometimes be mysterious. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing, Sagittarius. I think some of you are learning to keep your cards close to your chest. Some of you are learning not to lay everything out on the table, and some of you are learning just to kind of go through some of these changes on the down low. And I think one of the sweetest things some of you Sagittarius are learning is that sometimes we know somebody's full of crap. We don't have to call them out. Sometimes it's a lot more entertaining to stay out of it and be high vibrational and, you know, set things up in a way where we are protecting ourselves, and we let that person run their course and trip over their own little trap. That can sometimes be very funny. Okay, so some of you are learning that kind of thing as well, where you're like, you know what, I don't have to get into fights with people. I don't have to call people out. I can just give them enough rope and let them, you know, make their own little mistake. So some of you are getting a lot further without having to be in battle mode all the time. And I think that's going to be the biggest relief for a lot of you out there. Again, guys, check out your moon sign and rising sign videos because they might resonate with you more, or they might give you a little extra information. You may need a private reading, which I'm more than happy to do for you. If you click on the Calendly link, it will take you to the scheduling page to schedule a private reading with me. But we're going to see what your message of healing is for the week. And guys, those of you who like these messages, keep in mind, every single day on Facebook and Instagram, I do a daily message, like for healing, for growth, the message of the day, and I do a pick a card game. So there's really 2 cards every single day. So you can check that out, Amethystangellight, Facebook and Instagram. All right, Sagittarius, so you have Modify. This is kind of like your homework for the week, right? And you have that 2 there, the 20, or you drop the 0, the 2, that's about keeping the faith. And that's exactly what I was talking about, is Sagittarius, you're learning a smarter way to go about things where it's not going to require so much of your energy, right? You don't have to be vigilante. You don't have to go to war with every faker that comes across your path. You don't have to let everybody know that you've got their number. Sometimes it's a lot easier and a lot more entertaining to just kind of play dumb, right? Protect yourself in the process, you know, be cautious in the meantime, stay away from the drama, and just watch it unravel and watch that person, you know, have something backfire that they're trying to do to others. So you don't necessarily have to go to battle all the time, right? And you can modify. And there could be certain things about your goals or your dreams where you're really wanting to get to a certain place, but it's going to take a long time to do it. So you can modify your goals. You can do what you can with what you have and do the bigger, fancier stuff as your current resources bring you enough to bring in other resources. So modifying is going to be a nice little exercise for you this week, okay? It's going to happen for you. You're going to be able to have that happen. Things happen in stages. So ask your angels and guides to help you and see where maybe some modifications could be beneficial for you in your life right now at this time. All right, my darlings, I thank you so much for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. I'm wishing you a fabulous week. Take care.